Hi there, Amin. It's very nice to see that you've sent us another set of essays. Before we get into them, I just want to address your questions here. I saw in your task one that you wrote that it's a formal apology. I don't see how it's formal. I mean, you're writing to a friend, and so it should be informal. Maybe it was a typo. You meant informal. I agree with you that all the expressions you've written here are formal. And my understanding is that you wanted me to kind of put these in an informal way for you. I think this is what you were saying. Let's see. Okay, for example, instead of "we regret to inform you that," in an informal letter, all you need to say is "I'm really sorry, but," and then you just say what the problem is, or "I'm really sorry to tell you this, but," okay? I'm contacting you for the following reason. You could say something like, "I just wanted to let you know that," and whatever you want to say. Um, we wouldn't say "thank you for your letter regarding," but something more like "I'm glad you wrote regarding," or "I'm glad you wrote about, you're coming to visit me." Um, with reference to our telephone conversation yesterday, there are a lot of ways you could say this, I guess. There's no set expression. I guess it would just be something like, "I was thinking about our talk yesterday," or "I was thinking about our conversation yesterday," and then you can say whatever. This is neutral, basically, but if you want to make it more informal, you could say, "Can you send me?" We wouldn't say "please phone me personally." We would just say "give me a call." Um, With a friend, we wouldn't say "if I can be of further assistance," just be like "if you need anything, let me know." I look forward to hearing from you is, I mean, we do use it in formal letters. You could use it in an informal, but better would be "I can't wait to, waiting for your reply," or "I can't wait to hear from you" would be good. "I'm writing to suggest we get married tomorrow." My goodness. That's certainly not formal. That's certainly not informal. And it's just rather strange. Um, let's see. "I'm writing to suggest we, okay, why don't we do this? Why don't we get married tomorrow? Okay, or "let's get married tomorrow." I'm writing to arrange my agenda. That's it's pretty much along the same lines. Um, Thank you in advance. We would just say thanks. Thanks so much. Um, Again, we would say "I can't wait to hear from you." I'm writing a response. Here you would just say something like, "I got your letter um, about XYZ and just wanted to write you back." Okay. "I hope your letter finds you well." We usually ask a question in an informal letter. We say something like, "How are you? I hope everything is going well." That's usually how we say it. And in addition, "can you send me?" Okay. So we spent a little bit of time on that. So let's go into your task one. Okay. So let's see what you wrote, Sophie. You wrote, "Hello, Sophie." Stick to "dear." You'll see on the task, it usually tells you how it wants you to start your letter. Usually says "start your letter dear X, dear whoever." So keep that in mind. So, "dear Sophie, I hope this letter finds you well." Again, you could have just said something less formal, something like "how are you?" Okay. Um, so let's start like that. "How are you? I was so happy to learn that," this is strange. "I'm happy to know that you are excited to visit me." It's a little strange. We wouldn't really say this. It would just be, "I'm happy to hear that you're going to visit me." You're not happy that she's excited. You're happy that she's coming. So let's change that a little. So from the beginning, "How are you? I hope everything is well. I am really happy that you are visiting me." Um, oh, and then you wrote, "I'm excited too." Yeah, not so much. Just simplify your life and just say, "I'm really happy to hear that you are coming to visit. My son, Cheeky Monkey Freddy, keeps asking one question." Here I would like "over and over" to make it really sound more natural. He keeps asking one question over and over. Is Auntie Sophie coming today or tomorrow? Now, here, Auntie should be spelled differently. It should be Auntie. Sophie should be capitalized, and then you needed a question mark here. And then no, full stop. I've seen that you're planning to come by the 10th of June. That is so far. Plus, my kid's nanny will go on her vacation for the whole month of June with an E here. So I'll be very busy taking care of the kids at that time, especially that still no one of them is going to school. All right, let's fix some of this grammar here. Okay. I saw that you are well, I guess you could say I've seen, but it just sounds a little formal. So I saw that you were planning to come by the 10th of June. Full stop here. That is so far away, comma, plus, comma, my kids know that. My kids with an apostrophe after the S. Nanny will go on her vacation for the whole month of June, no comma. So I will be, capital I, will be very busy taking care of the kids at that time, comma, especially since none, I don't know how many kids you have, but none, one word, N-O-N-E, none of them is going to school. And now here I would like to suggest, really sounds rather formal. So why don't you come earlier? Question mark. I really miss you. And May, this is strange. May, the month of May, will be perfect to see you here. It's a little awkward. The way you wrote it, I thought May was a person. So, why don't you come earlier? Full stop. I really miss you. And May is the perfect month for you to be here. I'm really sorry for requesting to change your plan. Again, awkward and a little formal. So I'm really sorry to ask you to do this or to ask you to change your plans, plural, but I am sure we will have a good time doing what we're planning to do for many years. You know what I mean, okay? Let's see. Let's fix this a little, as this part is a little strange as well. It's a little awkward. So I'm really sorry to ask you to change your plans, but I'm sure we will have a good time doing what we have been planning to do for many years. And then here you need a different sort of punctuation, either a dash or a semicolon. You know what I mean. That's fine. Looking forward to knowing if you can change your plan, not planning, your plans, plural, to be here during the month of May. Best, Maria. All right, that's fine. So as you can see, some of it was awkward. Some of it was a little too formal in places. So that's my suggestion on how to correct it. Let's say you apologized. You said, okay, yeah, you did everything that you were supposed to do. So you covered all the points, but it's just some of that awkwardness and some of that formalness that you have to correct. All right, let's take a look now at your task 2. Okay, so this is the one about countries with the average working time. Let me just give you a heads up here about what the problem a lot of students have with this essay. It's that they fail to mention this idea of economic success of the country. Okay, so that's what a lot of people are missing, and instead they're just talking about the benefits to the workers and the companies themselves. So let's see what you did here with this set. Okay, experts throughout both the developing and developed world have debates about long and short working hours and which standard is better for the economy. Some believe that working for a very limited short hours would increase productivity. Now, that's a really long sentence, and it shouldn't have just been one sentence. So let's break it up into some smaller parts so that it reads more accurately and more appropriately. Experts throughout both the developing and developed world have debated about long and short working hours and which standard is better for the economy. Full stop. New sentence. Some believe that working for very limited, that doesn't make sense, very limited short hours, one or the other. So some believe that working for few hours would increase productivity. Here you need a comma. Actually, maybe not. You can just leave it as one sentence. I'm not really a huge fan of this just being its own little sentence. I think it works better to have it attached to the previous one. So, you know what? Why don't we try that? Some believe that working for few hours would increase productivity. However, personally, I strongly disagree. Okay? This essay will argue whether long or short working hours do lead to, get rid of the A, better economic success in different countries, using examples from Apple and Google Human Resources Statistics and an example from Berlin University to demonstrate points and prove arguments with an S at the end. Okay? So, fine. Let's move on. On the one hand, there is ample evidence that some countries with short average working hours, so get rid of this A, they don't own a stronger economy, they have a stronger economy than many other countries with long working hours. The central reason behind this is twofold. Firstly, human capabilities to work with concentration. Careful here. Look, you've got capabilities, so it's are limited. So lowercase h, since it's a connection of your previous idea. So human capabilities to work with concentration are limited for only a few hours. All right, now what you need to do here is also change some things. Human capabilities to we don't really say this to work with concentration. It's not a particularly natural expression. Instead, what we would say is something more like to concentrate or to be able to concentrate at work. So human capabilities, maybe we wouldn't even use capabilities with this. Maybe it's just ability. How about human ability to concentrate at work is limited to only a few hours. Secondly, people who work for a limited time pay attention to quality more than quantity. For example, the average working hours for Google and Apple employees is less than 6.5 hours. Wait, 6.5 is less than 6.5 hours daily. I don't know why you have this 6.5 hours. So get rid of an and put an S here. As published in the Human Resource magazine last month. Must not be forgotten also that the average working hours in the United States, S, and then comma, which is the biggest worldwide economy, comma, is less than 8 hours, and that is less than the working time in many other countries. Therefore, it is conclusively clear that those countries which can make their people work, get rid of the two, with concentration, with creativity for limited in limited hours, have a better economy. Okay, so obviously we've got some things happening with some of the grammar here. I mean, it's not a huge problem, but it does make the reader kind of stop and, correct and try to be like, okay, wait, what? So it doesn't create a problem in terms of understanding your message, but you do have to read it a couple of times to understand it. Now, let's talk about your ideas here. So the first one you said is that you can only concentrate for a few hours. And then you said that people who work these few hours pay more attention to quality than quantity. Okay, and then you talked about Google and Apple. So that talked about that first point about the 6.5 hours a day. But then when you talked about the United States, you know what happened here? I think I know what it was. I think that this idea about the United States was supposed to refer to this idea of quality over quantity, but there are two things that happened. Basically, you had idea one and idea two, and then you had support one and support two. So when I got to support two, which is this thing about the United States, I didn't understand really what you were talking about. Like, where does this fit into anything, and how does this, make sense in your essay? For me, what would have been more effective is if you would put support one, this idea of Apple and Google, right after your idea one, which was this human capabilities, okay? And then connected the second idea about the quality to the United States. However, even if you were to do that, you would have to explain to us how what you're showing us here with the United States is an example of quality over quantity, because I still didn't understand that in your example. All right, it would have made a little more sense, but you still needed to add that so that we could understand what you were trying to say. Essentially, what you need to remember in these essays is that the reader should not be doing the thinking. It's the writer who is responsible for doing all the thinking and explaining his or her thinking. So the reader just needs to read your position, read your ideas, and say, okay, now I understand what the writer is trying to say. But that puts a lot of responsibility on you to express your ideas very clearly. And this is all about task achievement that we're talking here. But also a little bit coherence and cohesion, because coherence and cohesion talks about how you organize your ideas, if there is a logical progression. And for me, the logical progression was somewhat missing here. So let's take a look at your second body paragraph. On the other hand, although there is a case for Apple and Google to implement short working hours standard, I don't understand standard here, get rid of it, and even short working hours enriching concentration and creativity at work, still the impact of long working hours on the economy is higher and cannot be overstated. Cannot be overstated. This is largely because most of the work people do is a routine, so spending more time working will lead to better production. Get rid of A here. For example, an extensive study by Berlin University showed that over 98% of the work is periodically repeated for more than 98% of work is in Germany, where the average working hours is more than 10 hours daily, as shown in the same study. Thus, it's possible to state beyond doubt that long working hours is the true way to achieve economic success. All right, now this paragraph is strong. I liked it, but there was one little problem with it. A little problem, but still it's something that we have to address. You talked about the workers in Germany. You talked about the average worker, average hours for, etc. But you said here it's the true way to achieve economic success. What was missing for me was something that basically said that you're using Germany as an example because of its economic success. That, maybe for the last 20 years in a row, Germany was cited as the most productive country in all of the European Union. So if you had said something like that, then it would have made sense to me. Here, will you then say that economic success, etc., etc. Okay, so that was missing. Show me that the reason we're talking about Germany, and this idea about average working hours, is that Germany is an example of an economic success. Okay, you needed to say that, because that's another thing, like I was trying to say in the previous paragraph, where you have to do that work. You have to explain this to us. It's not the job of the reader to say, oh, okay, well, we're talking about Germany because Germany is economically successful. You still have to explain it, no matter how self-explanatory you think it is. So your conclusion says, from the arguments and examples given, I firmly believe it is clear that the countries with long working hours are much more successful economically than other countries with fewer working hours. Full stop, new sentence. It is predicted less developed countries will aim to enlarge their economy. I don't really like that word here. I want to use something else. To build their economy, to expand their economy, would probably be better by adopting long working hours for their people. Okay, great. So I like the organization. I like the way you ordered your paragraphs with putting the stronger argument at the bottom. I like that you decided to talk about both of them. And no, it was good, but you need to work on some of the things that we talked about. Okay, so go ahead and do that, and let's see another set of essays from you soon, so you can keep up all this momentum. Okay, I'll be waiting. Good luck.